Are you ready to step into the unknown, to discover what lies beyond the myths? Stay close and keep your eyes open. Not everything you hear is just a story. This is Beasts of Legend. You've heard of Slender Man, right? The faceless figure in a suit, tall as a streetlight, arms like wires, lurking in forests and photos. That's the myth. But the version passed around online. It's watered down. The real story is older. It started when a VHS tape showed up at the local library's donation box in Black Hollow, a dying town in Pennsylvania that's mostly just rotting houses and old mines. No label. Just a strip of masking tape across it with the words, "Guest footage, do not duplicate." The librarian, a bored college dropout named Mia, popped it into the archive room's old player. The footage was grainy, time-stamped October 1996. A group of teens, maybe 6 or 7, filming themselves exploring the woods near Mill Creek, right behind the long-abandoned St. Helena Asylum. Classic 90s kids with camcorders, trying to make a ghost hunting documentary before YouTube even existed. They joke around for a bit, but things shift around the 16-minute mark. The camera starts glitching. Subtle at first. Brief static, screen tearing. Then something moves in the trees behind them. Not fast, not loud, just wrong. Like a shadow, but shaped like a person. Too tall, no face. One kid, a girl in a red hoodie, whispers, "Who's the guy in the suit?" But the others laugh it off. They keep filming. The glitching gets worse. Audio drops out. Then, at the 23-minute mark, the camera jerks violently and falls. You hear screams, leaves crunching. Something like metal scraping across bark. The last frame before static is a blurry figure. White head, black suit, arms bending the wrong way, reaching. Then the screen cuts to black, but not for long. There's one more frame, a single flicker, less than half a second, showing a hallway. Fluorescent lights, linoleum floors, like a hospital or school, and him standing at the far end. Only now he's closer. Mia uploaded a digitized version to Reddit under ER Obscure Horror, just trying to get answers. Within 48 hours, the post was deleted, her account suspended, and she started getting phone calls. Every night at 3:11 a.m., just static, breathing, and then a voice. "You invited him. He is your guest now." She smashed her phone, but the calls continued. Landline, her friend's phone, the gas station payphone across the street. The tape vanished from the library within the week. So did Mia. People in Black Hollow started seeing things. Children came home crying about the tall man at recess. Hunters refused to go into Mill Creek. Dogs wouldn't stop barking at trees that weren't there the day before. A local podcast, Rust County Night Watch, did a segment on it. One caller claimed his daughter had drawn a dozen crayon sketches of a faceless man with black tendrils standing outside her bedroom window. The drawings always showed 5 children standing around him in a circle. Faces scribbled out, eyes bleeding black. "She said he's not a monster," the father said. "She said he's a guest and he only stays if you invite him." The following night, a woman woke from a dream and lingered in bed for a few more seconds. She reached over to turn on her bedside lamp, trying to recall what had interrupted her peaceful sleep. When she failed to do so, the brunette swung her legs over the edge of the bed and pushed herself up. Checking her phone, she snorted at the sight of the clock showing midnight, the witching hour. Realizing that sleep would likely evade her, she left her bedroom for the kitchen, a desire for a good cup of coffee on her mind. As she walked past her front door, an unsettling chill ran down her spine like liquid fire. "It's just winter," she reassured herself, redirecting her thoughts back to coffee. Measuring out coffee grounds and water kept her busy, but as the dark brew heated up, she found her mind wandering again. She kept thinking about that goddamn awful podcast episode and that little girl. She shuddered and tried to bring her mind back to the moment. The chill returned, prompting her to glance back at the front door. It stood there just as it always did, innocuous. The deadbolt was secured, and nothing seemed amiss. Turning back to her coffee, she tried to shake off the unsettling feeling. With her cup in hand, she headed back toward her bedroom. As she passed the front door, she thought a quick peek through the peephole might ease her restless mind. The chill intensified with each step toward the door, and away from the warmth and safety of her blankets. She pressed her palm against the cold metal door and took a deep breath before bringing her eye to the peephole. Initially, all she saw was an inky darkness that seemed to swirl endlessly. When she blinked in surprise, the void faded away. She wished it hadn't. In its place stood what could only be described as a former man. Its limbs were long and grotesquely awkward, with thick joints branching out into multiple arms reminiscent of tree branches. The creature wore a black suit, which somehow made it all the more nightmarish. The most disturbing aspect, however, was what could be seen as its face. It was as if her mind blurred the horrifying features to protect itself from further shock and terror. Pushing herself away from the door with the hand still against it, she dropped her steaming mug of coffee, scalding her bare legs as she stumbled backward and tried to escape from the door. She instinctively knew that her mind wasn't deceiving her. As she crab-walked away, she saw dark tendrils like those of the initial void slither through the cracks. The girl felt trapped between the urge to flee and an instinctual need not to turn her back on the door. When it jolted, suddenly, panic took over, causing her to slip in the burning liquid as she rushed toward her room. Deep down, she realized she was cornering herself, but she had to distance herself from the door. Halfway down the hallway, she heard the previously locked door creak open. She screamed and collided with a wall, cracking her chin and momentarily stunning herself. After that, there was only darkness. "Nicole?" A gentle, male voice pulled the woman from her daze. Turning around, she found herself face to face with one of her sister's doctors. She nodded, uncertain if she should speak or if she could even muster the words if she tried. That morning, she had received an urgent call from the hospital informing her that her sister, Lindsay, was there. Before they allowed her to see her, the doctors had taken her aside to discuss what might have occurred. Terms like self-inflicted and assault had been mentioned, leaving Nicole's mind spinning. It wasn't until she laid eyes on Lindsay that the gravity of their words hit her. Her younger sister had a bandage wrapped around her head, obscuring both her ears and eyes. They explained it was meant to prevent her now lifeless eyes from drying out and to keep infection away from the wounds she had inflicted on her ears. The doctors speculated that either she or someone else had forced a pencil into them, possibly to disorient herself or to block out some sound. There were various degrees of burns on her hands, legs, and feet, likely from coffee that her neighbors had discovered spilled across the entrance to her apartment. As Nicole entered her sister's hospital room for the first time, she thought she saw the outline of a man in the window. Yet, she knew that was impossible. Her sister's room was located on the 3rd floor of the hospital. She settled in a chair by the bed and noticed a VHS tape on the bedside table. It had a note attached. For Nicole. Weird, Nicole thought as she slipped the tape into her bag. There's a rumor now. If you see the footage, even a single frame, he notices you, not all at once. First, the dreams start. Forests, long hallways, flickering lights, a static hum in your ears. Then you catch him in reflections. Behind you in photos you don't remember taking. Closer, every time. And eventually he visits, not to kill, not right away, just to watch, to stand in the corner of your room at night. unmoving, unblinking, a guest after all, waiting for you to break. They called him Slender Man, but that's the safe name. If you find that tape and if you dream about the hallways, don't let him in. Don't say you believe, or he becomes real for you. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the unknown. I hope you enjoyed uncovering the mysteries behind today's legend. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow seekers of the strange and mysterious. Your support helps keep the legends alive. Have a creature or legend you'd like us to explore? Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay cautious, and remember, sometimes legends are more than just stories.